Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly and this channel is all about creating print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please hit like and subscribe and stick around. So in today's video, I'm going to go over how to create this design right here. I will warn you, this is a little bit of a longer video because I really go into depth on several different techniques that I used in this design. But the prominent technique that I want you guys to be aware of is how you would go ahead and get those sort of glyphs, which are those swirly lines that you see around the text. And this is using Creative Fabrica and their font cloud along with Canva to sort of upload the fonts and to create these glyph designs that you may have seen on Creative Fabrica but didn't know how to reproduce. So that is the sort of main learning point of this video, but then I also go into how we went over, we put some clipping masks here, we put some little decorations here. I did different clipping masks for the decorations and different clipping masks for the text. I also went ahead and put a little shadow on here. You can't tell on the black, but this would also work really well on a light colored shirt because I put a little really small shadow around the gold glitter so that you would still be able to see it on a light shirt. On a dark shirt, the shadow just sort of blends in. So lots of techniques. It is a longer video, but it's definitely worth watching. So if this is something that you're interested in learning about, please stick around and watch to the end, okay? So in today's video, we're going to be making another Christmas design. This is primarily a text design, but I did want to show you a couple of different techniques that you may not be aware of. And so right now I'm on Creative Fabrica, and we are going to go ahead and select some fonts that we want to use. Now, I've already spent a lot of time looking through different fonts. Honestly, that is the part that takes the longest, is just looking through, knowing what your options are and making some choices. I've already done that, so it should be a little bit faster, but you'll definitely want to take your time when doing this and really decide what it is that you want. And so I'm going to be looking at a few different fonts. Now, you can do this pretty easily if you want to just kind of search Christmas fonts up here. So here I am with some Christmassy fonts, and I can go ahead and select fonts right here, and it's going to show me a whole bunch of different Christmassy fonts that I can use. And what I wanted you to pay attention to was right here for this one example, you can see that it's got these lines that come out. Now these are called glyphs, and you may have downloaded fonts from Creative Fabrica before and wondered why you didn't necessarily get the same look that you see in some of these thumbnails. And that is because when we download them and we use them on Canva, it's not going to give you those glyphs. Now there is a way around that I'm going to show you in this video. So we're looking for fonts that have those sort of decorative swirl glyphs that you like, that we can use in a design. And I'll show you how we're going to go ahead and do that. But I just wanted you to see that there's a lot of different styles here of different Christmas fonts, some of them that have those really cool glyphs. This is one that I'm going to use in this design. It's Christmas gloves, and what you can see is that it's got sort of this wavy glyph to some of the different letters. So if I was to select this one here, you can see it's got, you know, some cool decorative stuff on different letters, and you can use it for different things. So that was one of the ones that I liked. So all you have to do is go ahead and download this font. So I'm just going to go ahead, hit download, and it's going to download the font. Now, it will download it in a zip file. So what you're going to have to do is on your computers where your downloads are, for me, it's at the upper top right of my screen. It'll say downloads. If you click on that, it will pull up your most recent downloads. You'll see a zip file that will say Christmas gloves or whatever the name of the font is. When you click on that, it will pull up a tab that has your downloads. Now you are going to select which font. For this one, it's giving you 4. It says Christmas gloves. There is a true type font, an open type font, and then there's an italic version of a true type font and an open type font. So for all of those, I just want one. So I'm just going to take the Christmas gloves open type font. That's the only one I really need. And I'm just going to drag it and drop it into my download section on my computer. And so that's how you're going to get it there if you're not aware. And so you're going to do that with several different fonts, whichever ones you want to use. The ones I'm going to use for this design, I selected one called Banthel, one called Lucky, and one called, well, this one, Christmas Gloves. And they all had some really cool glyphs, and they had different ones too, so I kind of wanted a variety to show you. So once you've selected all of your fonts and you've downloaded them, just like I showed you here, I can go ahead and go back, by the way. We're going to have to do two things. One is we're going to upload that font to Canva, and the other one is that we are going to use Creative Fabrica tools, and there's a tool here, if you go under tools, that says Font Cloud. We're going to have to use that, okay? But let's go ahead and start with Canva. So I'm just going to jump over to my Canva page, and I'm going to start with Create a Design. And I'm just going to select custom size. It's going to be 4500 by 5400 pixels. So let's start there. And I'm going to start the way I always do. I'm just going to select a background color. So I'm going to click on my blank canvas, go to the top left-hand side of the page, and I will select black. Now this is a mostly text design, so what I'm going to do is just hit T on my keyboard. It will pull up a text box, and from here I'm just going to go ahead and type out what I want, and then we'll play with the fonts in a little bit. So for this design, it's going to say most likely. That's going to be the top line here. I'm going to hit another T on my keyboard again, pull up another text box. This one's going to say 2. And then I'm going to hit another text box here. This one is going to say drink all. And then one more text box here. And this one's going to say the wine. Now this is a fun scalable design that you may have seen. For example, this one says most likely to drink all the wine. You can have one that says most likely to shake all the presents, most likely to drink all the eggnog, most likely to bring the Christmas joy, most likely to sing Christmas carols, most likely to eat all the cookies. And so they're fun family designs that you can market towards families and hopefully sell a group of them. And so this is a good one that you can scale out quite a bit. So I'm just going to start with most likely to drink all of the wine. And I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger so I can kind of see where I want everything. So let's just go ahead, oops, and drag these out so that they're nice and big on the screen so it's easy for us to see and to play with. And there's my 2, and it's going to kind of come here. I do kind of want this top one to sort of curve, so I'll just go ahead and go to effects right now. I'm going to put a little bit of a curve on there. Nothing too big, but just so I get a little curve on the top. And so you can see it's kind of going to look something like this. So that's more or less how I've got it. And so starting with this, we're going to go ahead and select our fonts. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start with this this top one right here, and the font that I had selected for it based on the glyphs that I wanted it to use was a font called Banthel. So Banthel is one that I downloaded from Creative Fabrica. And so what you would do is go over to fonts up here, and if you have the pro version, you do have to have the pro version of Canva, you can come down to the bottom and there's a little thing here that says upload a font. You can click on that and it'll pull up your downloads, and from there you can just select your Banthel font that you just downloaded and hopefully dragged and dropped into your download section. So you can click on Banthel and it will go ahead and upload that for you onto your font list. And so that will show up usually at the top under uploaded fonts. So the very top section of your fonts will say uploaded fonts. I have a ton of uploaded fonts. All of these I got from Creative Fabrica. So I downloaded a whole bunch. Usually I go with some of the more display fonts that are a little different. I mean, Canva has a ton of its own fonts, but every so often I'm looking for some special display style fonts, and so I'll download from Creative Fabrica and I can just upload right here to Canva. So like I said, the first one that I'm going to use here that I uploaded was Banthel. Where is it? This one right here, because it was very decorative. Now by itself it's very decorative, but they got a lot of fun glyphs that I want to be able to use too. So that's the first one. The second one that I was going to use for this too was one called Lucky. And so again, on Creative Fabrica, I downloaded a font called Lucky. I would then go over to my fonts, go to the bottom where it says upload a font, click that, downloads will pull up. You should have your, Lucky font or whatever font you downloaded there, and then you can just go ahead and upload it. It will be, again, at the top in your uploaded fonts section. And so I'm just gonna scroll down until I get to my Lucky fonts, and these are alphabetized, so you just scroll down until you hit the L section. Okay, and so here I have Lucky Regular, and so I'm going to go ahead and select that one, and so that was the font that I was going to use right here, my Lucky Regular. And then for the bottom two, I was going to use the one that I showed you at the beginning of the video, the Christmas gloves one. And again, same technique. You click that, you'll come to your font, you can upload the font that you want, and then you'll just go ahead and select it. And so for that one, I have to go up to Christmas gloves. And it is right here, Christmas gloves regular. I'll select that, and I'll select it for the one underneath too. So now I have my words, my fonts, and now I want to show you how you can get the glyphs. So this is something that not everybody is aware of, so it is a fun technique once you kind of know where to find everything. So I have these. So what I'm going to do is go back to Creative Fabrica, and you would go to your tools section, and you would go ahead and select your font cloud. So go ahead, click font cloud there. It will pull up a page that looks like this. You're going to go ahead, hit open font cloud, give it a sec. It will open a page then that looks like this. Now yours probably won't have anything over here if you haven't uploaded anything yet. I already have the ones that I'm using uploaded, but what you would do is come down to the bottom where it says browse. Click there, it will pull up your downloads, and then just like you did for Canva, you will go ahead and upload the fonts that you want to use to the font list here. And so I have several saved already. And so let's go ahead, we'll start at the top with the Banthal one. So I have Banthal here, and I'm just gonna find it in my list. It's the first one. And it's gonna pull up a list of sort of the glyphs that are available. So initially you're just going to get the basic letters and some of the symbols, but as you start to scroll down, you will start to get some of the more decorative glyphs. So as we start to get down here, there are going to be some lowercase glyphs, and then if I keep going down, there are going to be some uppercase glyphs. And so what we're going to do is we look at them, and again, this might take you a while to figure out which ones you want to use, but for me, I'm going to go ahead and for most likely, I think I'm going to go ahead and try to emphasize the T, which was the last letter there. So let's go ahead, and here's a T that looks pretty good for most likely. I like that one there. And so if I wanted to use this one, for example, I could just click on it, or actually, as I'm looking this way, I like this T better. So there's a couple different versions. This one just has the swirl down. This one goes in a little bit. So actually, this is the one I'm going to use. So all I have to do really is just click on it. And I won't even show you anything. Just click on it and then just go right back over to your Canva design. And that T that I wanted to use the glyph on, all I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that T. Oops. I'm going to click it. I'm going to highlight it. Okay. And then I can right click. And then I'm just going to go ahead and hit paste, and it will paste that new glyph right in there. And so you can see right now I've got that decorative T, and it's just kind of like magic. And so we'll keep going, and so I have to kind of look at all of the letters in the words that I'm using, and then look at all the glyphs available and decide which glyph and where I think it would look good. So again, now I'm looking at the word likely. Are there any of these letters that may lend themselves to any of the glyphs that are available? And so I did look for a while, and I did like, there was an I glyph, and then there was an L glyph. I think there was even a Y glyph. So there was a lot that I wanted to use. So I'm going to go back up to my font cloud, and again, here was the I that I liked. And so I'm going to go ahead and select this I. I just click on it once and then go back over to my design. So it's a lot of back and forth. Highlight the letter that I want, and then I'm going to right click, and I'm just going to put paste. And there it will throw that glyph in there for me. And so I'm going to keep going. I think there was an L that I liked. And this did take me a little bit of time of looking through this. So go ahead and take your time. The first time you play with it, it'll probably take you a little bit longer. And then once you get used to it, it gets faster and faster and faster. And so I did like this L here. This had a little bit of a decorative swirl at the top. And so I was going to go ahead and click that L and go back over to my page. I'm going to select the L here again, and then I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. And then I think there was even a Y that had a little bit of a swirl at the end. So one more time, I'm going to go back and I'm just going to see what my choices are for Y. So here's one that was a little bit bigger than I'd like because it's going to throw off the overall size and centered. Like it won't make my word look centered because it'll be kind of long at the end. So I liked this Y here. It just has a little glyph at the bottom, and so I thought that that one looked a little bit more simpler. So I'm going to click on this Y, back to my most likely, and I'm going to go ahead and paste. And so now you can see how we went ahead and turned this word here into a very decorative design with the most likely. And so it was just a matter of spending some time and seeing what I thought looked good. And so we're just going to repeat that as we start to go down. So now the next font that I used was the font called Lucky. So I would go back over to my font cloud, and now I'm just going to select a different font. So I'm going to pick Lucky. If you haven't uploaded it yet, you just go ahead to the browse button and upload it. If you've already used it, it will be saved here, and I can select Lucky. And for this one, what I wanted was the leading and trailing lines off of the word. So the word is to, and what I want is the leading line for the T and the trailing line for the O. So you can see this particular font has the leading and trailing lines, which is what I was specifically looking for. So as I scroll down, I can find the T that I liked, click that, and then go back over to my design. Again, we do this one letter at a time and paste, and there is my leading to. And then one more time, I want the trailing O. So you see the leading ones, and now I've got my trailing ones, and I kick the O, and I'm gonna go ahead and paste there. And now I have my leading and trailing to. And so again, it's easy once you know how to do it. The part that takes the longest really is looking at all of the different fonts, figuring out which font you want based on which glyphs are available for that font and what you want in your design. So for example, this Lucky one had the leading and trailing, but it didn't have any of these fun curly letters that this one had. Right, but this one didn't have the leading and trailing, which is why I ended up using two different fonts. But I still wanted the fonts to kind of look like they went. So if I was going for a scripty one, I wanted a kind of similar looking scripty one. So trying to match the fonts and figure out which fonts you want really does take the longest. But once you get a good combination of ones that you like, you can use them again and again and again. And for this, because it's a scalable design, once I get it the way I want, I can keep the most likely to, and then I can just change out this bottom part, still using this font and the same, style of glyphs, and then it becomes easy. So even though it may take a long time to get the original design, I can then scale it out a lot, not only with different words, but then I can put it up in different colors and really get a ton of designs out of it. So it's worth putting in the time initially, especially for all of the scalable designs. Just make sure you put a lot of time into your initial design, because then it's worth it to then scale it out. So we're going to do this one last time here. This is the Christmas Gloves font. So I'll go back over to my font cloud, and I'm just, I'm toggling back and forth between screens. I'm going to go ahead and select Christmas Gloves. It's going to bring up the fonts that I want. Again, you can look through, see what your options are. The first ones are just the basic uppercase and lowercase. Then we got some of the symbols. So it's usually towards the bottom where you start to get some of the decorative glyphs. So you'll kind of want to scroll down to the bottom. And so here I can see some of the decorative glyphs that I have available to me. So some of them have the decorative lines here. That's what I really liked, were some of these decorative lines. Now you got to figure out what looks good. You don't want to overuse, but you don't want to underuse per se. So at least one decorative letter probably in each line is good. So I looked at my word, kind of tried to figure out what I thought would be the best. So for the top one, I decided that for drink all, the K looked really good here. So I was going to select this K. And you may have to play with it too. You can go back and forth and play with it and try it out and see what looks good. So I did that. So let's say I didn't think that looked good and I didn't want it. I could just hit this back button right here, the undo button, and it would just go right back to where it was. So it's really easy to just sort of play and see what looks good. So I liked the kind of decorative letter there for the top line. And then for the bottom line, I thought maybe the I had a good decorative one there too. So let me come up here, and yeah, the I does. So I was going to select the I for wine and oops. Highlight the I and then paste. And so I liked the way that looked there. And then there were some smaller sort of decorations that I thought might look good to use. So the initial first letters and last letters, some of them looked a little bit more decorative. So I was looking here. I think it's the last letters. Some of them have those good curves to them. So for example, in the word all, I could use this last letter here that had the curve. I liked that one. So let's go ahead and change out the Y and paste. And so that is an option there where it's got that big curve at the end if I wanted to do it that way. And I could do it again here for the E's if I want to, if there's a nice E. And there is. So here is the E that has more of that curve to it. And so I can try it on both the and wine. Looks nice there. Let's see how it looks on this one. And I like both of those too. So far that all looks really nice. And again, just keep looking, keep playing. You know, it may take a second to figure out what looks the best without overdoing it. Sometimes the tendency might be to put in more than is necessary. So remember, less can be more. But just make sure it looks nice. I don't think that there was too many uppercase glyphs that looked good. I think these are just sort of more the regular font there. Yeah, so that's what I had. So now that I have my design here and I've done all of the glyphs that I want, it looks nice, it looks decorative, it would be fine just by itself to sort of, you know, make sure everything looks centered nicely. Sometimes it's hard to center when we've got these glyphs that sort of go outside the box, because if I center my box, you know, now this is going to be much closer to the edge and it's not going to look centered. So this becomes a little bit more of centering with your eye and trying to see what looks best versus centering the text box itself. Remember, you can always use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move it one pixel at a time, right, left, up, or down. So if I just hit the little arrow key to my right, I can just kind of inch it over pixel by pixel until it's kind of where I think looks the best. You can also, if you want to see center lines or whatnot, if you hit I think it's Shift R. Yeah, so if you hit Shift R on your keyboards, it's going to pull up these rulers and guides for you on the top and the bottom of the page. And then if I wanted a center line, I could just go over here to the left, click on that ruler, hold it down, and then drag it across the page to the center point. And now I have a center line to help try to make sure everything looks centered. And I can drag as many of those lines out as I wanted to. So I could see, you know, kind of about how far it is from the sides on both sides. And so you can do it that way too. So there's all sorts of tools you can use to help, you know, center things, make sure that they look good. Might move this over just a smidge more. So far, so good. I'm going to bring this one up a little bit. I like that. Here I can play with this too. I can have it where there's a gap. I think I liked it even where these were touching a little bit. So there's just that little kind of like they're touching each other. Make sure that they're close to the same size. Again, using my arrow keys to sort of play with the placement, right, left, up, down. So by itself, this could look good as a design. You could do it just like this. You could do some colors to it. I think it needs a little bit of flourish to it because it's pretty simple, just the text. So let's say we wanted to add some flourishes. So some of the things I like are some of just the simple diamonds, stars, snowflakes. You can go over to the left-hand side of the page where it says elements. If you were to do a search, sometimes just for things like flourishes, literally, it will pull up different flourishes that you could use. And so you've got all these fun little decorative lines here that you can use, and some of those look really cool. And I could try to be specific with it too if I wanted to, and do like Christmas flourishes or flourishes Christmas. And so now I've got some fun Christmas flourishes, one that has like some holly in it, and then different lines. You can pull up Christmas designs. Here's some snowflakes might look good, ornaments might look good. And so what you're looking for is any kind of sort of design that would go with your overall, font and theme, something that looks nice. Something like that looks nice in terms of some of these flourishes. You want it to look like it matches. And so some of the ones that I liked, there were some cool sort of gold colored Christmas stuff. And I may have just looked under Christmas too to see what looked nice. And so again, some of what takes the longest in the designs is seeing what your options are and looking around. And so here's one that I liked. So we got these little diamonds that are gold. And all I did was search Christmas there, and that's what came up. And so those I really like. And so I got these little gold ones here. And I think I liked it something like that. Maybe even over a little bit there. And this may or may not work because I got that Y coming down. Let's see. I'm going to hit Control D. That'll duplicate it. So now I've got a duplicate copy. And I can hit flip at the top here and flip horizontally, so that they're going to kind of mirror each other. And then I can go ahead and bring them. You'll see right there, it'll let you know when it's equal distance. And so I can do something like that. I might need to make those a little bit smaller because it's a little big on the top here. So let's say I went with that. And there we go. So there they are, both a little bit smaller. Oops, there it is. And so that looks pretty cool here. And one of the things that I like is the magic recommendations came up over on the side. So I use this, and now I have magic recommendations that have other similar designs. So I'm going to hit See All. And now I can use some of these that I think might look good too. So I liked the bells here. I thought the bells looked really nice and simple. And I can go ahead, bring those bells down maybe here. And so that looked kind of cool. And again, I can use arrow keys to put them wherever I want in terms of the spacing. So that looked kind of cool. And keep going. I think there were a couple other things that I liked that looked kind of cool. Let's see. So you got a lot of options here. Some of the leaves, some of the snowflakes looked nice, bells. And so play around, see what looks good. I want to sort of fill the space, but I want to fill it. I don't want it to be too busy, but I don't want it to look empty either. So it's a little bit of playing to see what's just the right amount for flourishes, okay? There was one other one that I had seen, and I'm just going to go ahead and go back to my recently used. That's the easiest way for me to sort of find things after I've looked for them. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit See All. It's going to show me all of my recently used graphics, and I can just scroll down to find the ones that I liked. Okay, so here it was. This was another one in the same family that was also gold, but it had just sort of that sort of decorative, has sort of a decorative line feel to it, but then it also... nice decorative line feel, still had the nice gold to it, and I can kind of see how I can make it fit. I can angle it. Something like that might look cool. And then I can go ahead and do the same one maybe down here. So use that same one like that, and maybe even flip it. I'm gonna go ahead and flip vertical. Something like that. bring it there, maybe angle it a little bit so that they kind of match. And so that's cool. So now I got sort of these matching things, and I sort of like the way that that looks. Yeah, that all looks pretty nice. I'm gonna stick with this. So again, I could choose to put it up just like this, and that looks nice. I could then go ahead and choose to use different colors here if I wanted to go with some of the Christmas colors, or I could try to go with some of the gold. So let's say I just wanted to match maybe this gold and I wanted the whole thing to be gold. I could always go text color. It's going to pull up all the different golds in all of these. And you could try to pick one that looks like it matches pretty closely. I could hit change all, and now the whole thing kind of has that gold feel to it. And so lots of different ways that you could play with this. One other technique I wanted to show you was with clipping masks, where we had one clipping mask for the text and then one clipping mask maybe for the design so that they were in a different color. So let's say I didn't want these to be gold. They're already gold, but let's say I wanted them to be silver and I wanted the text to be gold. What I would do is go ahead and just duplicate my page a couple more times. Oops, sorry, I meant to duplicate and I deleted. Let's duplicate and then duplicate. So I've got three versions. My first version, which has everything. My second version, I'm going to get rid of just my little decorations so that I only have the fonts. So then I can go ahead and put one mask just on the font. And then on the bottom one, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to get rid of the font and I'm going to keep just my decorations, so they're all in the right spot, and then all I have to do is layer them. So let's say I want to make this text kind of a glittery gold. Now I've already looked through glittery golds and found like the one I want, which I used right here, but you could just again go to elements and do a search for gold glitter, and lots of gold glitter will come up for you to use. I'm going to select this one here. I need to make sure that it is on top of everything. And I would rotate it like this. And for this, I am going to use Photopea, which I use for all my clipping masks. I really do like Photopea. It works great for clipping masks there. So I'm just going to start with my mask. And so I would go ahead and just title this sort of gold mask. And then I can go ahead and download it. So I can hit download, and I just need this page where it says all pages. Go ahead and just select the page that you're on, so your current page. And so that would be my gold mask right there. Okay, once it's downloaded, you can get rid of that. And now what I can do is also download just the text. So I could put, oops, lost my spot here. I could title this, most likely, and I'm just going to put wine, and I'm going to put text only. Right, so this would be my frame then for the gold, and I would go ahead, hit download, make it a transparent background for this. Again, I'm just selecting this page, and I'm going to download that. So now I have my frame and my gold mask. And I'm going to do the same thing now with the sort of decorations down here. And so since I have them here, I'm just going to go ahead and input maybe most likely wine, and then I'm just going to put decoration mask or decoration frame. And then again, download, make it a transparent background, make sure I'm on my current page. There we go there. So now I've got those, and then I can pick a mask for these. I can do it in, let's say I wanted to do silver or green or red sparkle, lots of ways I can deal with it. I do have some red sparkle saved here. So let's just say I liked the red sparkle. Which one did I like better? I think I'm gonna go with this one. So I can go ahead and put red sparkle. Now I can cover the whole page. It's gonna make it look really gritty because it's making it big, or I can just keep it the same size, and because this is really easy, I can just go ahead and cover, if I just hit Control D here, each of these areas individually. Oops, Control D, boom. And then I could do that as a mask. And so what I could do would be decoration, and then I could just put red glitter mask. And go ahead and then download that. Masks you don't need a transparent background for, because it's only going to mask over whatever your frame was. So There we go, and hit download. And by the way, you can do this with several different masks too and look at different combinations and see what works best. So there's a lot of room to play here. I'm just showing you some of your options, get you guys creative. Again, you could have just kept it all one color and left it. So you don't have to do all of these extra steps. It just depends how much you want your design to stand out amongst the rest. So now I'm going to go ahead and go over to Photopea. So I just hit photopea.com in the browser. This is totally free. It'll pull up this page. I can hit open from computer. That will pull up my downloads. And then from here, I can just go ahead and you're going to start with your frames. So whichever one you want to start with. So let's say I did my text only frame. So it has pulled up just the text. And then from here, I can go to the top left-hand side where it says File. 3 spaces down, it'll say Open and Place. It'll pull up your downloads again, and now you just want the mask that you had for your font. So I put gold mask there, and there you go. So it's loaded the gold mask right over the top. I can see my layers here with the gold mask over the top, and it's the one that's selected. So I just have to go up to Layer. About halfway down, it'll say Clipping Mask, and it will automatically put the clipping mask, and there I have my words. Now this is ready to export, so I can go File, Export as a PNG. Box will come up. I can retitle it here if I want to. So I can go, most likely, wine, text only, gold, whatever you want to title it. It is a little bit detailed. If you want to bring that quality down a little bit, you can. Anywhere between 90 and 100 is usually good. If it's too big at 100 to reload to Canva, because I've had that problem a couple times with really detailed photos, if you bring it down just a little bit, you know, let's say I have it at 97 and I hit save, then it's usually okay to re-upload to Canva. So let's go ahead really quick. I'm back on my Canva page. I'm going to go to the left-hand side where it says Uploads. I'm going to click that. Then I'm going to go Upload Files. And I'm going to upload what I just downloaded from Photopea. And see it uploaded, so there was no problem there. So I'll go back over to my Photopea, and now I'm going to do the decorations. So I'm going to go File. I'll hit Open in Place again. This time I'm going to do my decoration frame. Okay, and it pulled up the decorations, and you can see it sort of put them there, but I don't want anything else on here. So all I have to do is go ahead and delete the other layers. So I can go to the right-hand side where you see these other layers. I can go ahead and right-click and then just hit delete. And I can do that for both of these layers here, delete. And so now I just have my little decoration frame. And then again, I can go back up to File, Open in Place, and we'll go ahead and we'll get our red glitter mask. It pulls up the mask over the top. Then I can just go to Layer, Clipping Mask, and there is my little decorations with the red clipping mask. So now I can go ahead and export that. I can go to File, halfway down, Export As, select PNG. It'll take a second, but the little box will pop up where if you want to, you can you know, retitle it. I can just put decoration red. Again, everything should be the same as before. Hit save and then jump right back over to your Canva page. I'm on uploads. I can hit upload files, and now I can go ahead and download my red decoration that I just made too. And so they're both right there. I'm gonna make one more page here because there's one more technique that I'm gonna probably show you guys, but let's go ahead and pull both layers up. So I'm just going to pull that up. I do like to crop it so it doesn't fill the whole page because I don't want it to set as background. If it fills the entire page, it'll usually lock it as your background. So if you have a problem with that, just crop up a tiny bit so it's not filling the whole page. And there you can see I've got my most likely. And now I can do the same thing here with my decorations. Again, I can crop from one angle or from one side so it doesn't quite fill the whole thing. Blow it up and it'll put it right there. So now you can see my design there, how it looks. It's nice. I like it. I can leave it like that, and I think that that would work just fine. If you wanted to put outlines around it, you could, of course, for example, go to Edit Photo, and you could put outlines around any of these things. So that's on the text there. I could put an outline around it, or the little decorations here. I could put outlines around those. So if I wanted to show you how that might look with a shadow outline, I could, let's say I wanted to go with something a little bit lighter, like white. That's really big. I could bring that size way down. And so you can see how that might look with the white. I don't really love it with the white, so I don't think I would do it, but just so you can play with it and see how that looks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit none and go back. It should get rid of it, or not. Should get rid of it. Hit none. There it is, none, back. Perfect, there, okay. And now you can do the same thing if you wanted to play with the text too. Another way that you could do it, which is what I wanted to show you, was, and I'm gonna come up to my top one here, was if I was to take, let's say, this, and I was to go to Effects, and I was to go ahead and throw a shadow on it, let's say. And let's say I wanted the shadow to be just a little bit of a darker gold, maybe like yay. And I get rid of my transparency, and I get rid of my offset. I think I need it to be a darker gold than that because it's changed it there. There we go. Maybe somewhere in there. So now I've got just a little bit of a shadow offset there. Hard to see, I'd have to zoom in. But you can see now it's made just this little bit of an offset shadow. Well, what would happen if I was to put the gold that I just made right over the top, for example? If I put it right over the top, it's going to line up perfectly, and the only thing that's going to be any different, if I bring this to the front, got to make sure it's the top layer there, is you could now see if I zoomed in, there would actually be that little shadow around the layers here, because it would stick through because it wasn't on the original frame. And so you could get a little shadow that way too around your letters. So lots of different ways that you could, you know, create shadows if you wanted to. Again, I could always just do a shadow by editing photo and coming down to shadows and doing a drop shadow that way too. And so that would also be an easy way to go. And again, I could change the color to whatever I wanted. Let's say I went with a darker gold or something here, and I brought the distance way in. Well, it's kind of hard because I got everything overlapping here, but you get the idea that you could just go ahead and play with these things pretty easily. So let me get rid of that. I'm going to come back down to the one I have here, and I can also play, if I want to, with the color of the background. So I left a tiny room so I could grab the background. So this looks good on a dark shirt. It would also look okay on a white shirt, but this is where you might want to have that shadow or that outline, because on a white shirt you might think, oh, it's not really popping as much as I'd like. So that might be one where editing photo and adding a shadow here might actually look good. So I could do it as an outline, or I could do it as a drop shadow. If I did a drop shadow, I don't want any blur, right? I don't want that much distance, so the drop shadow, I'd want it to be really close, right? And then I'd probably want to change the color, and so what I might do is try to get a little bit closer to that gold, but make it maybe darker, right? So, and then I can play with that intensity too, so that it's nice and solid. And so now that would look like it's actually going to pop on a white shirt. Yeah, that looks nice. There we go. So now it would pop on a light colored shirt, and it would also look good on a dark colored shirt. On a dark colored shirt, the kind of outline or shadow there would just completely go away, and you wouldn't even be able to see it. But on a light colored shirt, it pops pretty well. And then on the black shirt, it still looks pretty nice. And again, I could do the same thing with the drop shadow for the red stuff there. So you really do have to you really do just have to play with it and see what looks good. But once you've played with it and you say, okay, I like this style, I like the way it looks, now I can scale it out. And so now I can take this one design and turn it into 50 designs once I kind of know what looks good. So there is a lot of time involved. There is a lot of playing with it, and this was a lot of techniques to shove into one video. So I'm sorry that it was a long video, but I hope you guys got some value out of this, and I hope it got you guys, you know, thinking creatively and ready to try some new things. If you have any comments or questions, you know, drop it in the comment section below. I try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can. I know some of you have requested videos, and I will add all those to my lists. Right now I am going through my list of Christmas designs, but eventually I will get to your stuff. You're just gonna have to wait a little bit because I do have an ongoing list right now of sort of the Christmas stuff that I want to show you, at least for the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, I just hope you guys are doing really well with your sales, and, you know, keep at it, keep growing, and I hope to see you guys again next week. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.